Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chestnut Channel. Thanks for being with us. Joining us today is Nathan Kring. He's an amateur Highland Games athlete and Tennessee native. Now he's located in central Georgia in the American South. Welcome, Nathan. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking.
I know you participated several of the Highland events in the South. Um, I've not been to the Stone Mountain one before. I've been to the Grandfather in the Middle Tennessee. Um, Can you tell us a little bit about how you got your start and what it's like to be part of the whole scene or culture of the events?
Well, it's an interesting story how I got started. Uh, the Clan MacThomas chief and his son were attending the Stone Mountain Highland Festival in 2016,
Ah,
and I had no intention of doing anything but just being in attendance that day.
uh-huh.
And my wife, she heard that there was a thing being signed up for called the Clan Challenge, so she asked me if I would do that. And what they do is they run you through a clinic and then you go and throw.
Okay.
Well, it turns out that being about halfway down the roster was an advantage for me because I got to watch what everyone else did before I went up and did it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
I, I ended up finishing first in that challenge. And so I got my picture taken with
Ah,
Fingand and his son with the first place trophy when the first day I'd met them, from Great Britain
the
in
MacThomas chief.
Georgia. Yes.
Wonderful.
And that picture is on my wife's Facebook page if anyone wishes to go and seek it out.
Ah, and he was there as chieftain of the games, I would imagine.
Yes. That just kind of was a springboard into doing the athletic events from then on.
Right. Um, yeah,
Gave me just enough confidence to be foolish.
there you go.
I am an amateur, so it's not like I'm going out there to move the world with a lever. I'm just going out there to try to get a better personal record. We call them PRs. So
Okay.
you go out and you throw a foot higher or a foot further than you did the previous year, then you've won. You've
Yep.
beat your previous record.
I know someone was telling me about the hammer throw. The size of the hammer head does not make the handle any longer or shorter, because that could be a problem for a certain stature of people. Have to work around that.
Absolutely. The handle is also very flexible, and that
Is that right?
it is a benefit because the way you're expected to wind that up before you throw it,
Yep.
you build up a lot of force. So you have to have stuff all over your hands like a rosin to, they
Okay.
call it tacky. Some
Hmm.
people buy spray adhesive, like a aerosol adhesive, and they spray it on their hands to
Yep.
firm up their grip because when you build up that much centrifugal force whipping that hammer around, it will come out of your hands whether you wish it to or not. The point is to try to make it let go at the time you want it to.
Right.
One slipped out of my hands in the Savannah Games about 4 years ago or so, and it went through a chain link fence, like the chain link fence wasn't even there. So, safety tip to anyone watching: if you find yourself behind a chain link fence, you may want to find something a little more substantial if people are about to hurl the hammer.
Right. So it actually does flex. I mean, anything would, but you're saying it torque has a torque to it as you're winding it up,
Oh,
that will
yes.
flex.
Yes. Well, it's a whole upper body motion winding that hammer up.
Uh,
So you're flexing at your waist basically, and your whole torso is making that circle with the hammer, and then the idea is to let go when it comes back over your shoulder.
Behind you it goes.
Yes. Yes, you
Okay.
don't face the field. You're facing the cage, and you wind it up and throw it behind you.
And you've got a sort of a wedge shape out type of thing as a target.
Usually
Okay.
it's done in a baseball field.
Okay.
So if you're between first and third base,
Big.
you're in the right spot.
I see. Getcha. Now, where did you mention to me that you were in Scotland and
Yes. My wife and I were fortunate enough to go to Scotland last August to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And I was blessed enough to be able to participate in the Strathartle Highland Games in Kirkmichael, which is just kind of northwest of Blairgowrie
Mhm.
in the country. It's a beautiful spot. I mean, you're right there just at the beginning of the Highlands. You know, you can see the mountains off in the distance, and everything was real lush and green when we were there.
Yeah,
It was such a wonderful time when we were there. Uh, I didn't beat any of my PRs. You know, I was out there on vacation, trying not to get hurt, trying not to destroy myself because it was only our second day in country.
yeah,
And I didn't do a spectacular job, but I got out there. I had fun. I met other guys. You know, it's a big camaraderie event.
right.
You're not
Anywhere you go, you can kind of walk right into a group, and it's a thing, huh?
Yes, and a lot of times you end up throwing with the same guys over and over again. So you build up a camaraderie of a friendly a competition. You know, there's no one beating each other's teeth out because you know you threw further than me or any of that garbage. It's all very friendly, um,
Right.
very jovial atmosphere, kind of.
Yep. And no sheaf over there. No sheaf toss.
No, we didn't do a sheaf toss. No.
That's an American invention, I've been told.
Okay, well I'll have to take your
Uh,
word for
all right,
that.
just making conversation. That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
It's uh,
Okay.
do you do the weight over bar also as well as the weight for distance?
Yes. Yes, that was one of those things that all of my OSHA training over the years said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you throwing 56 pounds in the air over your head?" Yeah,
Right.
and you have to have cleats on when you do that because you have to have your feet firmly planted.
Hmm.
And when you only get to use one hand, it's not like you get to two hand that 56-pound kettle. You've got to throw it with one hand straight up in the air.
Okay.
And I think that if I remember correctly, my personal record on that is 12 feet, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, isn't all that great, but it's more than a lot of people can do.
Right. You say when you say throw with
Oh,
someone, throw guys that throw with, you talking about the hammer or the when you say the word throw, generally it's what do you
yeah,
mean? The
that's
stone or
all of the above.
everything? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's a guy that lives just across the Savannah River from where I work here. He's been throwing for years, and I go over to his place every once in a while, and he tries to teach me to spin and try to get further with the weight for distance because weight for distance is by far my worst event because there's so much body mechanics going on at one time, and you
Mhm.
requires so much coordination. It's not just brute strength out there. In other words, you've got to have a technique, and that technique has to be the tried and true technique. You know, it's
Yeah.
there's a certain way to spin, a certain way to plant your feet, and all that.
Right. And for everyone's mechanics and build, it's only one thing, and not the teacher has a way to do it, but you have to do it with your body. I suppose that's
Yes,
the same. Right.
yes. And it's a lot tying the feet together, the hip movements together, all the while swinging a 56-pound kettle around your body with one hand and end up in the right place at the right time in the right configuration so that you can make that thing go.
What event is it, Nathan, that has the shoes with the blade on it?
That's a hammer.
That's the hammer. Okay.
Yeah, I don't use that. I just wear regular cleats and hope for the best. There are guys that go out there and they put a blade on the front of their boots or on the front of one boot, and I guess it works out for them. Maybe it gets them a few feet further. But like I said, I just compete with myself. You know,
Can you
just
explain
out
that a
there
little bit? Is a
performing.
boot that they make it or they buy it or what is
Uh,
that exactly?
most people make their own.
Do they?
They'll take an old pair of work boots and they fashion a blade, and they'll actually bolt it to the sole of the boot where that blade sticks out from under their toes.
So it's just one.
Yes, one blade.
It's one. Okay. I
And
mean,
some
1 foot.
guys,
1 foot rather.
well, some guys do 1 foot, some guys do two.
Okay. Huh.
It
Didn't
depends on
realize that.
personal preference.
I see.
But what they do for everyone else is they chew up the turf in the throwing box. That's what they do for everyone else.
I see.
Some guys, they go the extra mile and they'll actually have bolts sticking out of the sole of the boot for extra grip traction because, work boots aren't cleats.
Wow.
So they don't
Interesting.
have the cleats on the bottom of them.
Right.
So they'll fashion their own.
Wow. I saw a pair laying on the ground one time. It looked like someone's grass clippers.
That's
Those
right.
right, or Edward Scissors feet or something.
Yeah, the blades on those things will come out about 8 or 9 inches from the toe on
Yeah.
some of them.
And what about weather, Nathan? Wind. Let's talk about wind. Maybe I didn't. Weights are going in the air. What
Yeah.
about the wind? Anything?
Caber.
Okay. There we
You want to
go.
talk about wind?
All right, here we
Put,
go.
put an 18 or 19-foot lever up in the air and let it lead you on a dance around the field
Here
if
we
you can
go.
pick it off the ground.
Right.
Yeah, interesting story with the caber. When I was in Kirkmichael over in Scotland, I still had the rosin on my hands. And, I'm following these other guys around who've been doing it all their lives. And they didn't get the rosin off their hands before they did the caber, which I was not accustomed to. But I said, okay, if it works for them, it can work for me. And the hardest part I've always said of picking up the caber or throwing the caber is the actual pick of it. And when you pick it off the ground, you have to use both hands. It's sitting on the ground. You get one opportunity to get it in the air. If it touches the ground after it leaves the ground, it's a foul and you lose that throw.
Okay.
Well, on my second throw, I got down near the ground and I picked it and I messed up and that thing started to fall and my fingers were laced like this with all that rosin and I couldn't get them apart. With that lever coming down with the acceleration of gravity, I had about 3/4 of a second to do something and I could not do it. I went to pull my hands apart. They weren't coming apart, so I had to ride down with it. And
Oh,
it came down on the side of my right knee and there was skin on the other underside of the kilt from the side of my knee where
oh,
that caber rode down my leg.
wow.
But that was very good considering what could have happened. I mean, those things can bounce up and take teeth out, knock you unconscious. All kind of stuff can happen with
Right.
the caber.
It-
You're
it-
kind of
it-
playing with fire,
what are we talking?
That thing was over 100 pounds. I want to say that was about 110, 120 pounds.
Wow. And what are we talking about? 16, 18 feet length, something.
Yes,
They
somewhere
vary.
around there.
Are they? Okay.
It
Huh.
was a healthy tree, I'll tell you
Yeah.
that.
Right. Where's that video that with it announces on the microphone that you sent me?
Well, my wife is the one that was sending you videos. I'll have to see
Okay.
which one it is. If
Anyway,
it's an open green field where I'm wearing a light colored shirt, then that was in South Carolina. It was called the Swamp Fox Games. If
yeah,
it's
it's a
the one
green.
I'm thinking about,
You got a green shirt, not purple, like I've seen in other ones. Yeah.
okay,
I
then
think
I'm
it's
not
green.
really sure which one it was.
I
It
think
may
it's
have been
green.
Savannah.
Going the other way, and there's a guy on a microphone, real loud overhead.
All right, here we go, Nate. Good control of the caber. Oh, yeah, there it is, 12 o'clock.
Anyway, which is nice, I think, in a way. A lot of places don't have that.
Oh
People
yeah,
try to figure out what's going on a little bit. Was that good or bad? Is this guy smiling or not? I can't see his face over there. I thought it was neat to have well, just for me, for someone who doesn't really understand everything, it's good to know a little bit of particulars. You don't have to know everything, but certainly you want to enjoy yourself and know who's winning and who's not, at least.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Which is why I'm having a talk with yourself and a few other people about this. Another gentleman tomorrow night about stone lifting I'm going to do, and then another athlete next week probably. So, so all the games are a little bit different in how they run their games. Run their athletics, I suppose. And I know up here at the main Highland Games, they actually came in the parade, the clan parade, and all opening parade athletes were in it. Have you ever seen that?
I have not. No, not anywhere
Quite a
I've
thing.
been. They may deuce that in Stone Mountain when the pros are there, but
Hmm.
the amateurs, we don't do that kind of stuff.
I see
We
what you're
just out there
saying.
and try not to destroy ourselves.
So you're not an amateur event necessarily, the whole thing, but you're taking part in the amateur part of it.
Yes.
Okay. The
Yes.
Stone Mountain has both. Then I see what you're saying. I think.
Yeah, the last couple of years, Stone Mountain has been by invitation only, and it's been primarily for the pros. So I
Oh,
haven't
okay.
thrown at Stone Mountain in a couple of years.
All right.
Places like Blairsville, which I'm going to be in next month, and Savannah Games, they have amateurs.
All right. I didn't understand how that worked. Invitation. I see. Yeah.
When
Which
I
is
was in Strathardle, there was a guy there from Oregon who was a pro, and he walked away with almost all the first place prizes. He probably walked away with 800 pounds and a bunch of bottles of whiskey and whatnot.
Yeah. Huh. No
But
kidding.
this dude was all business. He wasn't there to play around. I I do my profession primarily. Like I said, I'm in my classroom right now with the whiteboard behind me. So this is my profession. I don't throw things professionally.
Right. I was at the Middle Tennessee games. I'd met your wife there. You might have been on the field. I think that might have been 2018 when it was at Maryville College.
Oh no.
I've only been to a few down that way. I live up near Boston,
Okay.
so I primarily do things up here in New England. But Jimmy told me that we met down there. I should say told me because I met about 30 people in that tent.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, all kind of Clanhattan, like MacThomas and a lot of others that were there that day. And they moved that one, right?
I don't know.
I think, okay. I think they moved it from Maryville to somewhere else.
Not sure.
So, up here in New England, we've got it's looking like nearly a 50-50 men and women up here at a lot of the games. You see that down there?
I have. I don't think it's really that even down here. I mean, the
Well, maybe
ladies
not. I say
do
that,
come
but
out. The ladies will be, throwing as a group, and there are some of those gals who put some of the men to shame. There's this one lady. She's tough. I don't recall her name right now, but my wife could tell you. And she has a tremendous war cry, and she has almost perfect form on every event, and she's very stout.
yeah,
They can sure do it, no doubt about it.
right. May not be 50-50, but it's coming into its own up here quite a bit, and I think it's gonna maybe it's only had its start here in New England like that, but a few years ago, um, there's a group called the No Fame Game. Organizers of that are good friends of mine, and also a Macintosh and a McGilvray.
Okay.
So all in the Clanhattan. Um, the No Fame Games was formed by a group during COVID. It sort of means that no one's getting famous about let's run the whole thing together and get it done.
I try to invite people, to come to the games, not just to watch, but to participate For example, we were in Chattanooga this weekend, and I
Okay.
encountered a guy who, you know, my shadow, or I'm about as big as his shadow, you know. He was an enormous guy, and I kind of broke the ice with him, asked him if he was a power lifter.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, but you look stout too. Do you lift?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. I throw in the Highland Games." And I broke the ice with him that way, and invited him to come to Blairsville, in case they have a clan challenge like what got me started.
Yeah.
That guy, he looked like he could throw a caber with one hand. And that's what the games needs. They need more folks participating, because that's what draws crowds to these events. We want to see
Yeah.
the Highland festivals flourish. Well, the games are what draws people to them. So
Right.
that's is my opinion. That is, a lot of people are there to watch the games.
And just like the pipe bands and the dancers, no need to be a Scot,
That's right.
right, Nathan?
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. Just as long as you
you
can put
need
a kilt on.
yeah, right, I was just about to say that must own a kilt, but don't need
Yep.
to be a
Yep.
Scot. That's something a lot of people might not know, but it's also a very welcoming sport, is it not?
It is.
Like you just say, approach people.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's is going to shun a newcomer and take some time to. In fact, they do have a lot of things up here now. There are a lot of things billed as tryout days, backyard tryouts and things. Let's get going, come out and see what it's about.
Well, anyone who's unwilling to take a new person under their wing is unwilling to learn themselves. Because in my experience, if I know the subject well enough to teach it, then that means I know it really well. And for newcomers, all they have to do is ask someone that they see doing something excellent. And that person 99 times out of 100 will be willing to tell them how they do it
Right.
and kind of coach them in a way.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be shy amongst all these big fellas, that look like they could chew your head up and spit you out. They're all really nice folks.
Right. And now we're talking about 9 events. Does one have to go to does everyone go through all those 9 in a day at the games, or
Yes.
people, you must, or,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
or that's
that's
how it goes.
that's the way you win a trophy, is you have to at least participate in all the events. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
if you miss an event, then that just means you have no score in that event. And just like when grading time comes, if you miss questions, or those count as zeros, so they don't help your overall score. And so it behooves everyone who participates to go through all of them. And of course, there are special considerations made. For example, there was a gentleman who was a veteran who was wheelchair bound. He was paralyzed from the waist down, and
Mhm.
he got treatment. He got to throw the things that he could throw and the things that he couldn't do. And they actually gave him a sword at Savannah Games. They gave him a broadsword as his trophy
Oh,
for being a
yeah.
hero, on the battlefield, and then coming out there and putting himself at risk even further to throw from a wheelchair.
Right.
So much respect for folks who get out there and try.
Absolutely. In fact, up in New Hampshire this year on the 29th of June, there's a place called Fort Number 4 where they're having a festival. And there's going to be a group there. I can't think of the name of it, but they're an adaptive sports company. And they're going to welcome anyone there that day for free that has challenges, like you mentioned, or any other ones that they can't even perceive yet. If you show up that day, they're going to help you participate in something there for free. Adaptive sports challenge type of thing, which you mentioned that's something that should certainly be pointed out, and and I hope it continues.
And my buddy, the guy in the wheelchair, uh, when I got done with the events, I was participating as an amateur B. They have amateur alphas and amateur bravos. Alphas are the ones that are just like semi-pro. They're ready to go into pros, Amateur B's is where I compete. We're the kind of guys that just throw every once in a while.
I
Well,
see.
I won a bunch of trophies, a bunch of these little medals, with a little ribbon and the medal hanging from it. And my wife, of course, she wants to take my picture with all these medals hanging off my shirt. And my buddy in the wheelchair, he saw me and he said, "Oh, come on, don't be that guy." And I said, "Don't talk to me, talk to her." he started calling me General Patton because I had this bar of all these ribbons on my chest.
Yeah.
I don't think he even knows my name. He just knows I'm General Patton.
But oh man, we make so many friends at the Highland Games, don't we?
Oh yeah.
I've been at the Clan tents for a lot of years, Nathan, up here, almost 20 years. Real family, I mean, clan, that's what the word clan means anyway, but
If only real Scots could get along as well as we do. It's a joke. It's a joke.
right.
Don't throw anything.
So what do you think of this? At this No Fame Games on the 15th of June, 9 teams of 6, not just athletes, but local teams of people are going to do a truck pull.
Wow.
9 teams of 6 people each. I'm not sure what the truck looks like yet. If it's a fire truck maybe or something, but it's going to be a large truck, I believe, and it's on the flat, but it still will be a challenge, I believe.
Nice.
They're calling it the Highlander. It's a few other events involved in it that all these 6 people are going to have to help each other out with or something.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got about 6 or 8 minutes left here.
Okay. There were 2 tugs of war in Strathardle, and those folks, they were all in on the tug of war. You had 2 teams, a team on each end of the rope, of course, consisting of about 6 or 8 people, and they would get to the point where they were balanced and locked, and they would just sit there horizontally with their feet dug in the ground. And that rope, you could have walked up and played it like a banjo string, and they just sit there for like 10 minutes waiting for someone to lose their footing. It was a big deal to them,
Like a painting, huh? Just sit there.
They were completely static. There's just this row of potential energy on that rope.
Oh, that's a riot. Oh man. And to get you start the day when the MacThomas chief was at the games, right?
Yes.
And to be able to go over there as well during your career now, and I know amateur, but during your time, during your life, what 2 gems those are together with everything else you've done.
Yes. Been a fun road.
Yep. And I enjoyed I enjoyed your poetic side as well this week.
Oh, yeah.
If you hope, I hope you don't mind me mentioning that.
No, it's all right.
Yeah,
No,
Nathan did some recital. Nathan did a recital of 2 things that I saw. I probably does a lot more of Robert Burns poems in period costume and wonderful setting and beautiful recitation of it. Just incredible.
Yeah, I didn't know who Robert Burns was when we went to Scotland. I'd heard the name before, but it didn't mean much to me.
Right.
While we were there, the vice president of Clan MacThomas, Robin Toms, he did the address to the haggis. And that was the second time I'd ever heard the address to the haggis. And that was when I determined that I had to learn that. And when I learned that, and it's silly the reason that I wanted to learn it, the address to the haggis, it's a what I call a masculine poem.
Right.
And I enjoyed doing that so much that I started looking up other works of Burns and just memorizing them. I find people who speak, or who are native Scots who speak with the accent, and I try to just do what they do.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoy it. I walk around, when I'm at my camper by myself, I walk around sometimes just reciting it to myself, just critiquing my accent and everything to see if I line up with Billy Connolly. That's how I learned the to a mouse was by watching a video of Billy Connolly doing it.
Huh. Wow. So how early did you get started down there in Georgia? I know probably earlier than New England as far as the backyards go and all your amateur events. Quite early in the year, or
They pretty much go year round. I mean, I guess you'd say from early spring to late autumn.
yeah. Because I know up
We
here I
don't.
was talking to people about how do you stay in shape, but you don't have a long period in the winter to stay in shape. It's kind of my point, right?
Yeah, and I'm fortunate to be employed by a company that has a free gym, so I get to go
Oh,
work out whether it's rain or shine.
right.
But yeah, I've often joked since I had to spend 16 months about 10 years ago in Minnesota. I've often joked that we don't really have a winter down here. We have a really long autumn that turns back into spring.
Right, huh? And I'm not sure if it seems like there's not too many outside sports outside of the Highland Games that would necessarily prepare you for it. I suppose some might not, but I
Well,
don't think anything particular. It's so varied on the field. There's 9 events.
Well, yes and no. I've heard, I've asked other people, other athletes, what they recommend to get better, and they said, "Do you do powerlifting?" And they
Uh-huh.
said, "If like the deadlift, if you can deadlift a ton, then that will help you with your sheath throw." Stuff like that. The correct posture, keeping your back aligned, lifting with your legs, and all that, and
Yeah.
just the upper body strength it requires to do the just the bench press. So
Right.
I went from bench pressing with a bar to bench pressing with individual dumbbells, which adds a whole degree of terror. I mean, skill to it, because you have to control both of those dumbbells individually. They're not
Ah,
rigid like a bar.
okay.
So yeah, you have to develop a whole new way to lift, to bench
Hmm.
press dumbbells.
Right. I can see that even if the weather is good, it's not like you need 6 or 8 people to set up uprights and etc. You can't just go out in the backyard and say it's a nice day, I'll go do that. But you can go lift something and in a certain way get ready and stay ready.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because, even though technique is a big factor, brute strength does help.
Right. Jeez. Well, I think we're almost out of time here, Nathan. I really appreciate you coming on. This worked
No
out great.
problem. All right.
Hope you enjoyed it as much as I have.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Been very
Pleasure.
instructive and entertaining as well.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you very much. Nice to meet you.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for being on the Touchdown channel.
Yes, sir.
Bye, everyone.